Hey, welcome to the Thriving Minds podcast with your host, Walter Parada, where we strive to provide you with empowering talks so you can live to thrive. I hope you find yourself in the right frame of mind, focusing on all the things within your control. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about making more good decisions leads to making bigger decisions. So the decisions that we make impact our lives right now and going forward. Many times, these decisions are not yet felt, but they add up over time like a scale. It weighs those choices that ultimately make up your life in the situation that you're in. On average, a person makes 35,000 decisions a day, from the simple things like, what am I going to eat today, to what am I going to do with my life? Most people are very comfortable making these smaller decisions like, what exactly am I going to eat? Or what am I going to wear? To what time am I going to leave the house for school or work? These decisions have a big impact in the long run, but not in the medium and short term. But those big decisions that we come across puts a lot more pressure on us that makes us generally uncomfortable because of the magnitude it carries. It can really disrupt our lives, and sometimes that means things turning out poorly. This is understandable since big decisions are made less often than those smaller ones. But we got to remember that both small and big decisions have an enormous impact. The small decisions that we make add up over time, while those big decisions that are made, those results can be seen relatively quickly. In general, decisions come down to picking something over other options. Certain key factors are the driving point that leads to going in one direction. The potential rewards excite us about certain scenarios, but also the potential risk makes us hesitate and reconsider going another route. But no matter what, the more good decisions that you make, the more confident you are in making future decisions, and this leads to making bigger decisions. It's what gets you out of that safety of what you know to going out and doing things, pursuing things that are new. This can be intimidating because in trying new things, it means being vulnerable because of the uncertainty of what exactly to do. It's starting from the beginning where you're trying to get your footing as you're trying to figure things out. Just think about any time that you start something new, whether it's going to a new school, starting a new job. There's probably a lot more thoughts that you're trying to process from things like, I hope I like this new place. I hope that I fit in. I hope that I do a good job. What if the people that I'm around are jerks? What if it was a mistake coming here? You're mapping out mentally what could happen, so you're a little bit more prepared to handle what you might go through. And this uses a lot more mental energy that can feel overwhelming, whereas the choices that you're familiar with take a lot less effort to do so. This is why we tend to make the same or similar decisions, because we can count on a high degree of certainty. Eating at your usual spot provides you the comfort that you made a good choice. But venturing off eating at a new spot or eating a new type of food can affect your confidence in not trying something new because it was disappointing, it didn't work out. So to make those big decisions turn out well, focus on consistently making good small decisions. This is just like the concept of momentum. Building it in the right direction gives you a greater chance to continue down that path. The things like choosing to eat healthy, to exercise regularly, to read daily, taking the time to reflect, these choices eventually become your habits. This solidifies a great foundation. From there, this helps you be more accountable and disciplined to continue to make good small decisions, like seeing potential problems and correcting them before it actually becomes a problem. Things like noticing your focus or your work ethic is lacking and taking a break to decompress and rejuvenate instead of trying to will your way through. Or saying no to spending excess money just because you have it. This builds on each other, and instead of just creating specific good habits, now you create conceptual habit of making good decisions. Obviously, poor choices or less than ideal choices are still going to be made, but having more of those good ones than bad ones keeps you on track to progressing. So just think about those 35,000 decisions that you make throughout your day when you can decide exactly what you're going to have for breakfast, such as pancakes and bacon, and following through on that instead of trying to weigh the options of maybe I should have oatmeal or maybe I should have cereal. Or if you're trying to decide what TV show you're going to watch tonight, it's tempting to want to scroll through all the different options through your Netflix, Hulu account, or whatever account you have to access entertainment. Much of this endless scrolling just comes from not having a clear vision or idea of what you want to watch. When this happens, before you even turn on your TV, your phone, your computer, think through what you want to see, whether it's something informative, thrilling, funny, or inspiring, whatever it is. And then when you come across something that catches your interest, you go ahead and select it. This might seem like it's not going to make a difference, but it really starts at the minute details and it grows from there. The more you know what you want, the quicker you're likely to get there because less time is spent on waddling around, pondering things. From there, you can gradually work up into other good daily decisions and then other good weekly and monthly decisions, and eventually get to the point of making those big decisions that really impact your life for the better. And by mastering deciding what exactly you're going to eat, what exactly you're going to watch, then you can shift to picking what book you're going to read, what other useful information or content you'll consume. You'll schedule out your day and your week to figure out what you need to get done and how you're going to do it. This is going to help you be more and more accomplished in whatever you choose to do. The daily choices that we make, about 40 to 60% of it comes from habits. So the other remaining comes from actually thinking through, evaluating the different options. Getting to this flow state helps you be more decisive and quicker with your decisions that can prove critical when time is crucial. It gets you in that mode of responding effectively and not just reacting to what is happening. An effective response helps you take in vital information to see what the best option or least costly option is. Reacting oftentimes involves a temporary fix, treating a symptom that does not address the root cause, and that same problem is eventually going to occur and it's probably going to get worse. Think about if you have a toothache. An effective response would be to go to the dentist to figure out what the issue is to rectify it. Maybe you find out that you need a root canal to prevent the tooth from decaying. A natural reaction is to feel worried, hoping that the toothache will go away on its own, maybe even taking a pain reliever to reduce the pain. Many of us go through this type of reaction when unexpected and unwanted things happen. But those that make a good decision in this case can see the long term and understand and treating the decaying tooth is best even though the procedure is uncomfortable and a bit expensive. Spending too much time trying to figure out if it's even worth going to the dentist can prove even more costly because it can cause further tooth decay and it can spread into other teeth. It's expected to have those worries of going through some pain to fix the issue, but the pain can be greater later on, health and finance wise. So to get to this point, by being able to decide quickly what exactly you're going to eat, what exactly you're going to wear, what time you're going to leave the house to get to where you need to be at, you condition your mind to be quick and decisive, and that makes you more self-assured. The more time spent trying to decide the small things within your daily life, this just derails momentum that kind of keeps you stuck in place, which can lead to making less and less good decisions that eventually leads to avoiding making any big decisions, or at least less of them. So make sure to exercise your ability to choose what you want to do and not just follow what you're told. This further empowers you to operate with a certain level of autonomy that's going to serve you well going forward. Part of the issue why people may hesitate to make choices is because others have made it for them. And that's probably coming from trying to control aspects to go a certain way. But this really cripples people. Whether this is done intentionally or unintentionally, the results are people wanting to think less because they fear the repercussions of not doing what they're told. There's kind of this force working against each other because in many institutions that we're in, whether it's school or work, there's rules in place where somebody tells us what needs to be done and sometimes how to do it. And this stifles a person's creativity, their ability to think on their own, to figure out solutions, and can demotivate people. That want to control de-incentivizes people to want to do great and is more about not causing a ruckus by playing it safe and just doing what they're instructed. With that in mind, know that good decisions will feel uncomfortable at times and can even feel like everyone is against you. Situations where your peers egg you on into what they want are common, and it's important to do what works for you. If you ever read the book Friday Night Lights or seen the movie, it's about the Permian high school football team and how they were able to overcome adversity. But the team that eliminated them in the playoffs was Carter High School. Carter had a dominant team with several players scheduled to play Division I college football. They even had a player make it to the NFL, Jesse Armstead, who had a long career playing for the New York Giants. But a few Carter players, maybe they felt a little untouchable and committed several armed robberies throughout the town. They would even try to get other teammates to join in, including Jesse Armstead, which he wisely declined. Eventually, the players involved were caught and lost their scholarship to play college football. It was a huge letdown for the players, their families, and the community. Obviously, the future that they positioned themselves for was ruined. Their future was not over, but it was a series of bad decisions. Somewhere along the line, these players probably made several small, bad decisions before making these big ones. And an interesting note on these players were that they were relatively well off. They had what they needed. So it's not like they were robbing to survive, to, feed themselves. They came from good households. But this makes us wonder what led to them consistently making these poor choices. Another important aspect of making good decisions is knowing which ones are not that important. That way you can focus more of your time and energy on making high quality decisions. In those 35,000 decisions that are made throughout the day, there's no need to try to aim to get every one of them right because that's really inefficient. That's going to drain a lot of your mental resources. So the things like, what are you going to wear today if you're just going out to have fun? Does it really matter if you wear black or a blue shirt? Does it really matter if you have a sandwich or spaghetti for dinner? These types of choices can quickly be made because one over another is not really going to have an impact on your day. The more decisions that are made in a day, the more in quality it drops. It's estimated that after the 800th decision made, the quality suffers. And this is just decision fatigue. So to manage this effectively, know which ones are not that critical. That way you can move on to those that are important. This can be left towards the end of the day where you're kind of on autopilot and just let those habits take over. And by mastering those small decisions, by being quick and decisive, it frees you up more and more time for later on in the day to really decompress. This helps you feel less overwhelmed, like you've had an accomplished day where it doesn't feel extremely draining. In doing this, you can schedule those good decisions in the morning. As research has shown, this is when the best decisions are made. The majority of people are most productive in the first 2 hours of waking up because the brain is wired to make optimal, analytical, and reason-based decisions at this time of the day. And this makes sense why, as the day progresses, the quality in the decision drops. In those times you find yourself contemplating late in the afternoon or in the evening about what you should do about an important decision, the common phrase of sleeping on it, it's a good way to go where you allow things to sink in, and then you can decide the next morning within those first 2 hours of waking up when you're at your peak. You're rested and the mind is better clear to focus on what to do next. And aim to have a limit in the quality of decisions that you make in the morning so you can effectively assess things. So just because those first 2 hours after waking up are the most productive, it shouldn't be that the first 800 decisions are made at this time. This can cause you to want to rush through a bunch of decisions, sacrificing quality over quantity. Everyone is a little bit different, so some are going to be able to make 10, 20, even 30 good decisions within those first 2 hours, while others maybe all they need to do is make 3 good decisions or 1 good decision. This is entirely up to you. Some days you're going to be more productive than others, so those times where you're feeling down, unmotivated, recognize that and listen to how you're feeling. Take time away and just let yourself be, as this is going to help you be ready the next day or so. All this is going to help you gain confidence and build momentum to making more bigger decisions that are going to set you up for a more thriving future. These big decisions, such as what kind of career you're going to pursue, the personal relationships that you decide to have or even end, deciding if you want to live in the same area that you know or move to a completely new location, whether to buy a new car or a used car, to buy a house or to rent. If I buy a house, should it be a new one or an existing one? And in what area? How much can I afford to pay for the house? All these decisions are impacted by how well you make all those other small decisions. Now, obviously, there are some pretty unimportant small decisions that are not going to affect you, but when you can quickly decide on them, the more time you have for those bigger decisions. So because of all those good small decisions that you've made, you've now developed good habits around those options that you've chosen. This is likely to continue when it comes to making those choices that have a huge impact on your life. The more confident you are in the choices that you made, the more likely you are to make those big moves. In getting to this point, it's important to have different viewpoints of what you're considering so you're aware of the risk involved, and this gives you a certain level of comfort in proceeding with a certain scenario if things turn out poorly. It mentally primes you to be able to respond effectively. We all know we make poor choices, and sometimes that involves these big decisions that are made. There will be ones that did not go well, such as maybe buying a new car that makes you feel good in the short term, but you see that a lot of your money is going towards paying it off when you could have bought a reliable used car so you can save more and more money. While you get in the habit of making good small decisions quickly, when it comes to those bigger ones, it's important to take the right amount of time to think things through, weighing the options, looking beyond right now, and what is best in the long run. Maybe having a used reliable car is not ideal because of how it looks or the limited space it has, but in the long run, it can help you financially because you paid less for it. On average, a new car will lose roughly 15% of its value each year, where the first year it drops 20%, and after 5 years, it drops 40%. A new car purchased at $40,000 would be valued at $16,000 in 5 years. The better choice would be to buy a used reliable car for around $16,000 and be able to save money to use on a down payment for a house. With a house, they tend to appreciate in value over time. By taking the time to figure out how the scenarios could play out and gaining different viewpoints, it helps you realize that in the long run, it's best that maybe you go with your needs instead of your wants. Many of us want a new car because of the excitement it offers, that brand new toy to drive in, but the need of having a vehicle that can get you safely and consistently to where you need to go while having money left over for other expenses gives you more options in the long run. These big choices that you have to make are always or most always going to feel uncomfortable where you're stressing out about it. So just embrace that because it's signaling to pay attention to all the different factors that are important. Sometimes it's not the risk alone with each scenario, but it's what you might be giving up when you choose one thing over another. So in the case of continuing to live where you're at, it could mean missing out on new experiences, meeting new impactful people, and learning and growing. You can still get that while living in the same area, but maybe not as much because in moving to a new area, it forces you to start all over, which can be both scary and exciting. Most of us aim to make good decisions, and that definition is going to vary for each person. But in general, it means being satisfied with what was chosen. And satisfaction is going to vary based on what you're feeling right now, what you could be feeling later on, and then reflecting on it. Have in mind, though, that good decisions are how well they turn out in the long term. Choose what is best or what's going to work out in the long run. This helps you not be fixated on the right now to see the bigger picture. Some decisions that you make bring you instant gratification and then being upset or feeling down later on. And other times, it's not going to feel so good in the short term, but over the long run, you see, damn, that was a great decision. So happy I went through with it. Remember, decisions make up your life and the situation that you find yourself in. The little ones add up over time and are the majority of what you do, while the big ones, the impact can be felt relatively quickly. Focus on making good small decisions to where it builds momentum in the right direction and it becomes a habit. Choose one good thing at a time and then another and another, as it's going to increase your confidence. This leads to making more big decisions, and combining the two allows them to work in unison to make meaningful change for the better and making it stick. Be quick and decisive with all your small decisions so you can be more efficient with your time and energy. Recognize the choices that are relatively unimportant, avoiding getting hung up on the things that have almost no impact on your life. It really doesn't matter if you choose to wear black or gray shoes. Manage decision fatigue by making the less strenuous ones later in the day and make the good and big ones in the morning, as this is when you're at your peak. Have a set amount of how many good decisions you're going to make in the morning. That way they're higher in quality. More decisions does not equal better, but consistently focusing on making a few good ones each day leaves a good impression on your assessments that refines your thought process. Key things to look for and following through with conviction. Good decisions are relative to a person's perspective, but remember to let the long term lead the way. When choices are unclear, think about what will be best for you in the long run. It's tempting to go for instant gratification, but it can come at a higher cost later on, where you could find yourself in a difficult position. Use emotions as a tool to guide your decisions, but not let it lead the way. This keeps you in balance and makes you more aware of yourself to better manage what you're experiencing. Your life is made up from all the decisions that you've made. Make more good ones and you'll be better off. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in more topics like this, become a Thriving Minds member at www.thrivingminds.live. It's your personal development resource so you can build that right mindset so you can live to thrive. All right, until next time.